But this is again Fog Woman. Again, she's welcoming you, and the salmon are brought by her hands, so that's how we get the salmon run. This totem pole is actually the mystery pole. So once the totem pole is built, they wait for the carver to tell the story. And either this story was lost or the carver actually died before he was able to tell the story. But we do know a couple things. The bottom is a beaver. I think he's a little bit scary looking, I don't know why. But a beaver, and then there's a raven, and then we also know that there's a man, and those notches represent his potlatch hat. And so he has 7 notches, which means he was very wealthy or very old. So, but it's a mystery. We don't actually know the story behind it.
See what they mean.
Tell the story of Raven and the sun. They believe that Raven was the one who let the sun go and it brought light to the earth. And so it's actually kind of a funny story because Raven is mischievous. He's a little bit of a troublemaker. But it's believed that he was working with the chief's daughter, and through a long story, he releases the sun. He was a white bird. When he released the sun, he was burned and he turned black. So that's how we know ravens today.
Thank you.
Eagle Boy, he started out as a little troublemaker himself, but working his way up to the story. This last shed right here, this one, again shows the thunderbirds. They believe that they were so big and powerful that they could go and sweep up a whale and bring them to the top of the mountain to eat them. And so there's actually some whale bones that they discovered at the top of the mountain, which kind of confirms their belief. Today we know that it was because of glaciers, but it's kind of cool that they were able to find whale bones. This is the story of the Princess and the Frog, but not the Princess and the Frog as we know. So. They caught because they had to make it through the winter. When Western and European culture came up this way, they actually brought salt, and that's when they learned to start salting and curing food. So there are some barrels of salt if you want to look in there. Be a brand new house and have moss going on it, so. Perfect, so we'll just keep moving. The carving shop is right here, so we'll go around up the trail, and then there's a little gift shop if you want to visit. Like I mentioned, the salt came with new settlers, people coming into town. So this kind of shows you some of the dances that they made in their culture. So how you use that. Catch the pine house a little bit warmer. you said, obviously they work on the totem poles, and then when they're raised, they start their life. We'll just wait for them to finish up and we can go in.
The watchman of the owl clan, a killer whale or blackfish as it would directly translate into English, a child of the wolf clan, a wolf cub, and this carving here is the only one that doesn't pertain to like a last name or a clan. This is a mythical creature known as the land otter or the Kushtaka, and he was said to transform humans and small children into land otters. But that was like a scare tactic from like your parents and grandparents. It would be a story that they tell you so you don't go run off into the woods in the middle of the night. And then we have the raven at the top, and then the three village watchmen. So the reason we got the raven at the top, because in these three societies we have something that's called the lovebirds, the raven and the eagle. And those are the closest things that you have to like royalty in catch candy. It was said that if you were a raven, you have to marry an eagle, and if you were an eagle, you have to marry a raven. And that's like the same idea as like the royal bloodline, you know, like over in Britain. But totem poles are carved out of one continuous piece of western red cedar, aside from details like the raven's beak here and the orca's dorsal fin. These will be grafted together using a style called mortise and tenon for the woodworkers, or like a notching system. And traditionally, these two joints would be joined together using saps from trees. You just jam it in there, and over time, from the red cedar getting saturated from water and drying out, the wood will expand, only making that bond between the two pieces better. But yeah, if you look in this display case here, you can see some of the hand tools that were used for carving totem poles. Up on the top shelf is going to be your more traditional tools that you would have used before the settlers came to Alaska. Like bones, clamshells, the hardest rocks you could find on the island, and even glass. And now you're like, wait, how the heck would natives get glass in the 1600s? But if you're with me, Wild Wolf, I told you guys about the warm water current that we get from Japan. So the Japanese, they would use these glass buoys to float their fishing nets, and every once in a while, one of those glass buoys would break off and float over to southeast Alaska and break on the beach. Giving the natives of the area the perfect tool to come in and smooth out your totem pole. I don't know exactly, but I would have to guess like anywhere from like 6 months to 2 years, depending on the size of the totem pole. For this one being like the 30 to 35 foot range, I have to guess.